Hello, welcome back to our bonus episodes. Hawkins Community Pool. Is everyone ready to jump into the crisp, cool, refreshing, amazing, and chlorine-filled waters? Let's dive on in. All right, so tonight, joining us for this special bonus episode, we are super excited to have Juan, who is Up with the Sun on YouTube and Insta Up with the Sun. So thank you so much for coming on the show with us, and we're super excited to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited. This is like a dream come true. So I'm I'm ready for it all, whatever direction it goes.
We're going to start off with obviously collecting because
Yes.
you are a huge collector, and Stacy also is a big collector. I'm like getting there, not really yet. I wouldn't consider myself a collector. But how did you get started with collecting?
I would have to say the pandemic.
Yeah. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, I wasn't really huge into collecting prior to that because I was a dance instructor for a handful of years, and that really just being on the road a lot or just doing events and stuff, in my mind, I really wasn't at home a lot. So when I got really comfortable being at home and actually delving into YouTube, because I was trying to keep myself entertained, as all of us were, that's when I just started seeing, oh, people love their fandoms and they actually collect stuff. I would say I dipped my toe in 2017 with Funko Pops. I think that's everyone's little, rabbit hole they go down. At first, I didn't really like collect toys or figures at that time. But I was in a Barnes and Nobles and I saw that they had a stack of them on sale. And I saw these, the X-Men from like the 90s. They had the molds of the Professor X and Magneto. And I was like, those are so cool. I mean, as a queer person, obviously X-Men means a lot to me. So I was like, yes, I need to go get those because they're on a good deal.
Yep.
First of all, that's generally like how I like to shop. And then it just started from there. And I said, by the time I got towards the pandemic, definitely worth picking up from there. And it just snowballed. It's crazy.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely with the new Fantastic Four coming up.
Oh my God, yes.
I was explaining to Megan, I'm not a huge Marvel person, but X-Men is a huge favorite of mine. And it was the prequels that kind of got me into it. And that and the Fantastic Four are like the two kind of like superhero things I know best about. And I love that was kind of like what got you into the whole Funko thing. But with collecting in general, what do you love most about it?
I love being surrounded by beautiful things.
Right?
I feel like with that hermit crab that like I'm gonna actually get a more beautiful house now to store my, because it just makes you feel happy because the real world sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're just constantly bombarded by these things that like the structure of society, and sometimes you just want to be surrounded by joy. So when I come home and I look at my stuff, that the things that remind me of why I enjoy living to an extent, right? They give you that feeling, that serotonin that you're like, actually, it's not all bad because look at this beautiful art that the world has produced, the joy that people and their creativity give to you. And based upon that, it's just like, well, this is it. This is the thing. I mean, I'm not going on any European trip soon, but you gotta pick and choose your battles. And sometimes like, okay, well, if I'm not doing a European world tour or whatever, let me just enjoy the little things in life. And that's what I think the collecting does for you, is really just kind of remind you that there is joy in the world, because the life likes to beat you down sometimes. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that also kind of ties right into like why fandom is important to people.
Yeah.
Because it brings you that joy when things kind of suck. Like, so
yes.
it's so fun to be a fan. And I think there's so many different ways to kind of like live in that fandom, and collecting is one of those ways. So what fandoms do you think would be like your top 5?
Ooh, my top 5. I love this. Definitely, Disney has to be in that realm. I used to, I lived in Southern California. I'm from San Diego originally, and so I had a annual pass to Disneyland and stuff, and that's kind of like what picked up the most of the collecting on that one. So I was watching a lot of Disney related YouTube channels, but I also gone to a lot of Comic Cons. So I love comic books, so that's definitely X-Men. So anything Marvel related, but it has to be specific because I'm pretty choosy on which ones that I can tolerate. And so we have with Disney, I have Marvel. I like kawaii things. So a lot of things, kawaii is just a Japanese term for like cute.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So like anything in that category, like from Sanrio to Tokidoki, are two things that like will fall into that category. And then the fifth one, I'm going to say now is Stranger Things because it has carved such a strong part of my collection out.
Yeah.
And it's just really exciting to see how that has grown exponentially in such a short amount of time, by the way.
Yeah. So we're super excited to talk about that with you for sure. Yeah.
So those are the top 5 for me, Sanrio and Tokidoki, even though they're in that kawaii sense. So like, again, something like Sailor Moon, Card Captors.
Oh, cool.
Anything like that. So like cutesy anime stuff, that's this one category that I would.
Yeah.
Those are really
That's so
fire answers. I love that. That is amazing. And I must say, your collection for, Stranger Things, even though you said you've just kind of recently started snowballing with it, aces, man, like aces.
Well, it's all thanks to you, Stace, because like, honestly, your darn shelves, it was like the blueprint. It's like the reference point. It's like, oh shit, there's this and there's this and there's that. I mean, I've always made comments in my videos that here are things I never thought in my life I was ever going to collect, like a Nerf bat.
Yeah.
A Nerf shooting nail bat. What about that? Sure, why not?
You're like,
Why
I
not?
need that
I
Nerf
totally
bat.
need that Nerf.
I love that. I am honored because it just looks so cool. And I have to ask, so how does fandom play a part in your life? Is it a huge part? Is it that little bit of serotonin that you need to get by because same baby? Or, is it something that has always been part of your life from when you were a kid?
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of 3 boys. We're all closely within the same age. So me and my brothers, grew up watching, Mortal Kombat, playing video games, stuff like that. So like, even though as a queer person, like in their, I would say on paper are straight for sure. It's like, what are these commonalities? So fandom is really kind of like what bridges the gap between people.
Yeah.
I think without it, like I wouldn't be able to like connect with a lot of people because of our personality differences.
Mm-hmm.
But because we have such a strong feelings for fandom and how like they connect different people from all walks of life. I use that as like, so like from my childhood, obviously being raised on TV, sit me in front of Toonami, like I will defend, Dragon Ball Z. I don't care how long it takes to get to the fights. Like there's just the things that in my life that like, I've always loved entertainment. As a dance instructor, we always try to like help people envision a fantasy of themselves to like be able to get the courage to go out there and dance like in front of people. Having that kind of just being in like a sense of delusion.
Yeah.
That there's like this fantasy world and just having that, because I love keeping a positive mindset, and fandom like has to be joyful. Like I'll say that multiple times, and it's
Yes.
so cheesy, and I apologize, but to kind of like be in just like a headspace where you're just like la di da di da. I would rather be that
Yes.
than just be like, ugh.
I feel like, Stacey, that's what you say all the time.
I tell Megan all the time, and this was back when me and her went to Philly together, if I really took a second to examine my life, I'm like, it's a horror show. And I said, instead, I stay in my little coconut fantasy, as I like to call it. And I'm like, where there's just wonderful smut and pretty boys and fun collecting sparkly, colorful things. And I'm like, and it's what keeps me going. So you know
Absolutely.
what? Keep up with the coconut fantasy, baby.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is a genre in Japanese manga / anime, and it's called Slice of Life. And it really is just like stories that are around couples kind of doing everyday things or just people interacting at work or whatever. But it's kind of like, it's very stylized. The music's very like a bubbly, and it's like these like dramas. So like these like they're like these little like novellas, but you're just like, but it's all fantasy because the way the art is presented and the way they're drawn and whatever, and just like the music interlude, and you're just like, like if my life could just reflect a slice of life anime, I'm totally cool. I'm chilling, because they don't deal with, you don't hear like there's no like stories about war. There's no stories about religion. It's just like just about people being people and just like doing their thing, and all in a beautiful setting.
Even better.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about Stranger Things.
Yes.
So, you said it's been a very short time. So, when did you start watching Stranger Things?
Okay. So, I love like putting #FakeFan on a lot of my stuff when I talk, because I like to be real with my audience. It's like, listen, I'm not the best. I don't know everything, but I love this. So bear with me. So I had seen like back in 2017, I remember it being on and doing things like that. But I wasn't like, again, as my career really, I wasn't really sitting down doing stuff. Like I was always on the go. So, and then for me, my first impression, and I hate to say this, like it was very like, I felt at the beginning, it was like, it's being marketed towards a certain person. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I didn't really feel like I was being like in that bubble or that, category. So I was like, oh, okay, it's like a nice het normative, like show, like adventure show, whatever. Like, and I get it for what, on face value. So I'm like, I can pass for now. I'm doing other things.
Yeah.
And then Miss Thing over here, I really actually just started getting into comfortable embracing spooky season. Like I grew up religious, so like everything was of the devil, so like it wasn't really like something I could really get. And I was a huge scaredy cat as a child. Like horror movies terrified me. And I would get nightmares. So my mom was very like clear, like, no, you're not doing any of that. So it wasn't until I started like getting comfortable last year, getting really into spooky season, that the algorithm was pushing forward things towards me on Instagram. And one of them was your account, Megan.
She's the best.
And
I feel like you talked about this on one of your YouTube videos, I was like,
it's true, it's amazing.
It really
is so like, crazy.
It is crazy. Like I said in that video, like I'm a huge fan like of queer content. Like I need all the queer content in my life. It really didn't really strike me that those two were a pairing or could be a pairing. I really didn't even know that Eddie Munson existed. The only reason I knew he existed was because of that. There was a con, and obviously there was an altercation where he was being sped up by the security guard, and the girl stands up and she's like, "Thank you so much," and he's like crying. So he starts to cry, and I was like, who is this amazing person? Because it's very hard to see like anyone who's in the entertainment business have any sense of humility or like normalcy, And I really kind of felt like, oh, he's a real one. Like Joseph Quinn is a real one. Yeah. And for him to show like to have gratitude and to show like, so that perked up my interest. So I was like, okay, Steddie stories, the whole interaction with the fans really like inspired me to like deep dive into your recommendations. And so, oh my God.
Isn't it magical? Like I'm telling you, like when I met her in Philadelphia back in 2023, it was like meeting a celebrity. And I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, Megan, but literally my favorite part of the convention was sitting down with her, and she's giving me thick recommendations. And we're talking about like which ones are our favorite and this and that. And just the content that she was pumping out, all these great edits, and it's just right away I was like, oh my God, this just is the perfect pairing, and I couldn't get enough. So I totally get that. Like just fantastical.
And I feel like, I mean, it's interesting how I kind of started my Instagram, because I had like a Bookstagram account. I've talked about this a little bit, and I started seeing Steddie art, like fan art.
Oh yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of people like editing Steddie on Instagram, but there was a lot of like, in my algorithm at least, like the Vampire Diaries edits, and like that was like a big part of my algorithm. Yeah. And I always thought that they were so cool. And then I started kind of like wanting to do that, but
it wasn't really like catching on like trying to post about it on my Bookstagram because it wasn't like the target audience. So I was like, I need to just start like a whole new account, like follow a bunch of people who like Stranger Things and Steddie artists and things like that. And I don't know, just making the little reels is just like a very like almost therapeutic like thing for me at this point. Like, and I don't do it like with any kind of end goal in mind, really. It's just something that I enjoy doing. Joy. And luckily, like sometimes the algorithm likes it and it gets like pushed to people like you. So, and then we're able to connect. So it's been kind of like a cool thing to see because you hear so much about like negativity of stuff on the internet, but I try to like make my account like a very positive place. Like I police those comment sections on the viral videos like crazy because if it is getting a lot of attention, it's usually getting some negative attention too. But then I delete those comments. Like I don't want them. Like I don't care if they're going to help me have more comments on my content. I'm going to get them off of there because then if people are in the comments, they're not seeing all of the negativity. So
exactly.
I don't know. I try to be responsible about it.
No, and it's just it fuels me. It is really scratching an itch, and it is just like, yes, in a perfect world, this would be canon.
Yeah.
And it's just because of the way the characters are written, and that there's so much there that it makes sense because of their archetypes. Yeah, and I don't know, it's just wonderful, and it's inspired me. Like I've never in my life done an edit for any fandom ever, and it was just again being inspired to just went out there for Steddie.
Your edit today, literally, I was like
it was that, really good,
like just fantastic. And Juan, I love it when you message me and you're like, "Could you give me the name of that fic again?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is a good one." Like just somebody once said, what was up with this huge obsession with Steddie? And somebody went, "You know what? Steve Harrington has been through a lot and he deserves nice things. And Eddie Munson is a nice thing." And I remember when people tried to push the whole Billy thing, and two very attractive men, but something just doesn't mush right. Like, it just with these two, like a lot of it was improv by Joseph Quinn, but, just these little seedlings that we got. I was like, this is just too perfect, and the fact that the three of us are still going strong with this fandom and pushing, this, shit 2 years later, it shows that, whatever little sprinkles we get for season 5, we're going to eat them up because.
Yeah. It almost makes me nervous for season 5 because I'm like, I don't know if I want to know what happens.
I know.
Again, I want to live in my little fantasy world.
Yeah.
Meg's little coconut fantasy. Yep.
Absolutely.
I love that. So, Juan, I got to ask, what would you say is now this is a 2-parter question. What is your favorite season of Stranger Things and why? And who is your all-time favorite character or characters? And you could do like top 3.
Got it. Well, my favorite season is season 3. It's not because I'm, trying to jump on the bandwagon, but the pacing, I think, of that season was done very well.
Yes.
It's like it felt a little tighter, of course, because everyone's in one place, and it was pivotal to move the story along. Season 3, without that mind flare, you wouldn't really know what else is like in the Upside Down and like what is like the connection there. And props to Dacker Montgomery from his acting in that, because it was one. I met him when he was doing his tour for Power Rangers. In fact, I have his Funko Pop signed.
Forever a legend. Meeting him for that.
Like I told you, I grew up in with watching stuff. Power Rangers was a huge thing for me too as a kid.
Yeah.
So I was like, heck yeah! And he was in San Diego, and with 2 other actors for the science.
Is he
there
as
was a science fair.
gorgeous as he
He
looks on
is
screen?
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Naomi Scott is beautiful. She played Jasmine. She played
Gorgeous.
other characters. I can't even think right now.
Kimberly.
She was Kimberly, obviously. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
Kimberly. It was so funny because she had like these pants on. Sorry to go off on a tangent.
Oh no,
And
that's
okay.
me all day.
There's these big. She's wearing these beautiful, like boxy, like really structured blue pants.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh my god, I love your outfit." And she's like, "I love those pants." She's like, "Oh my god, thank you so much." She said, "Oh, the Victoria Beckham." I'm like, "Dang girl, you already got that money at this time." You got Victoria Beckham money? Like, what the heck? Oh my god, it was so funny. I'll never forget that in my whole life. Like, this girl right now, she was like, "Thank you so much, Victoria Beckham." I'm like, "Okay, awesome. You got your check early then."
Yeah, good for you.
And Ludi Lin, he recently played he played Liu Kang in the
Yes.
Yeah. He is a massive man. Like, and he has
Really?
big, strong hands. Oh my gosh, Ludi Lin. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So back to season 3. Steve Harrington is just a gem. Like he has a great personality change in season 3. Like the first 2 seasons, he's just coming off of that bad label of a bad boyfriend stuff, and like in season 3, he really gets to shine a little bit more in his personality, and his dorkiness gets to be shown a little through him, and he's having that amazing lightsaber fight with Dustin when they meet, and it's like that's the cutest thing ever.
Cute.
Like, I love
Yeah.
that scene so much. And just he makes really good, like, I like physicality in actors, like when they like do stuff, like, he like swipes his nose, like he's just making these really interesting choices that you really couldn't imagine them doing anything different. So, and I love that the directors allow them to, portray their characters as need be, as they feel strongly about. And yeah, and we get Robin obviously in season 3,
The
and
best.
more queer representation. And
Mhm.
I think that to me was super important. They actually acknowledge that, hey, it's just because it's the 80s and we're dealing with interdimensional beings doesn't mean other people don't exist. And I
Yeah.
love the idea that it's like, it's a small town, Hawkins, obviously. There's queer people still exist in those spaces.
Yeah.
It makes
So-
you love Maya Hawke even more, too, because the fact that was her idea, being like, yeah, we could do the love interest route, but why don't we do this instead? And I think it shows, like, back in 1985, like, just Steve's reaction to her, like, he was an ally long before there was even the word ally. So, I think that was a very important, scene that was crucial to show, that these misfits, these, underdogs, they represent everybody,
Yeah. Then you said my top character. Obviously, it's going to be Steve Harrington. I mean, everyone knows that like there's not one character there that has such a huge change in his storyline. I mean, obviously, we already know that he was going to be written out at some point, but the show carrier is so great that he was able to maintain that job for longer than expected. Steve is he is doing everything that he wishes that was happened, like for him. He wishes that there was like his parents were just as protective of him to rise to those occasions. So he gets to be a person that he really admires, and he's doing it himself. Like, and you can just see it in the way how he interacts with, the kids and all that good stuff. The kids, they're like adults now, but
the kiddos, yeah.
the kiddos in that time, over the time of the seasons, he's just, I mean, he got that moniker as being a mom, and it's just there's so many good things. Like, this fandom excites me so much because of so many things that everyone has drawn out of it.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
so much there, and it's really crazy. And that's why I'm just not surprised that it's taken over my collection.
Yeah.
Right?
Because I just
Hell yeah.
love the association with it.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. It's like taken over my life. But I think it's really cool that, like you said, there is so much to kind of get out of it, and that I feel like everybody kind of latches on to like a different sort of aspect of it. So I think that we kind of try to bridge that gap between being fans of the show, but also then that I think it's like transformative work, like of the fandom, like the other side of the fandom with fan fiction. And there are other little pockets of that too, I think, with like, you know, people who ship Byler or like other ships that people kind of like fixate on. But of course, for us, that's Steddie. So
that is, oh my
We-
gosh. Yeah.
we were going to ask you
That's
how
the
you
Big
first
Mac.
discovered Steddie, but I think you already answered that question.
Hello. The queen over here.
Let me put my crown on.
Yeah, keep it on, girl, because my gosh. Yeah, definitely, yes. Through your recommendation, the story, I forget what story was pushing. And I looked into it, and obviously I'm not new to AO3.
Okay.
You know,
I
not at all.
was.
Oh, sorry. But
It's okay. I know. Sorry to me, because how did I not
Sorry to
know
this
about
man.
this my whole life?
Right?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Because in high school, my gosh, I went to high school out in Texas randomly, so there wasn't really much for me to latch on. I was like one of the only like 5 out gay people in the whole town, or whatever. Fan fiction for me is like the best outlet to get the queer content that I'm missing.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
because we are like, you know, no offense to anyone else, but like it's just like everything is heteronormative dominant, and the stories I see on TV, the stories I grew up with that actually address queer issues were very sad and tragic.
Yeah.
You know, like he told obviously, you know, there's stories that of Steddie that do talk about the AIDS crisis, you know, in real time, and like how, you know, they would have navigated that. So much of that was just like it's either over sexualized or it's just very sad that it just really didn't give me much to like look forward to. So I think I didn't really get to see much healthy examples of relationships in those settings. So AO3 and you know, fan fiction really was a catalyst to helping me realize, you know, even though they're being written by wonderful and creative women, you know, women are going to save the world, obviously, because, you know, screw men, but women are going to save the world, period. The empathy and just not even that, just understanding, like just having a different perspective of how, you know, things work. And like, yeah, what if in this type of narrative that we can get happy ending,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, it's through the trauma.
And it makes
Right.
sense when Megan's like, you know, like, yes, I'm excited about season 5, but we've seen so many fix. We've seen so many happy endings, like that kind of endings that these two characters deserve to have. And they've been such satisfying endings, you know, that us hardcore fans could appreciate, that we're almost like, you know, we've already seen it written out.
And if I don't like what happens in season 5, I'm just going to head over to AO3.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
And that's going to be the beauty of season 5. Is going to inspire more
So much
narratives,
more.
incorporating that into making, you know, the more amazing, brand new, fresher, steady content.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm really excited for as well. Let's just see, that's going to be like a result of season 5.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for pointing that out, because I feel like I haven't really given that much thought. Hopefully, I mean, I'm just worried that like I guess it will. Will it? Like,
It will just be trash. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. They're just like, throw it
Like,
out.
They're going to pull a Game of Thrones, and we're like, wow, guys, thanks for that.
so I guess everybody.
Thank you.
So,
That was
so
totally
people
worth the
are-
wait.
I know. Maybe that's what I'm like being let down by, because that was such a letdown. And I need the final actual book to be written, because I've read all of the books. So I need like, okay, can you just like write the last book so you can fix this ending, please?
man.
Seriously.
But but I guess people will write season 5 as if Eddie was there,
Yeah.
right? They'll like write him into it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you write fan fiction and you're listening, please hear me.
Immediately gear up.
Yep.
Get your little groups together. I know they have, you know, let's make it happen. Get into that writer's room, you know, and buckle up.
Buckle up.
The Steddie Big Bang with Eddie in season 5.
Absolutely.
Plan it now.
Make
Plan
it
now.
happen.
That needs to happen.
Now, I think we're going to circle back around. We're just going to cover the Steddie right now because we're already talking about it. But tell me, are you more of an Eddie boy or a Steve boy? I think we already know this, but
I'm more of a Steve boy just because I love how he's written because he just has so much insecurities and he just has so many things that where he's not 100%, but he's not stupid about it. He's just like not, he just doesn't know. And there's such a freeing thing about that, just to have like a young adult character written where they don't really know. And they're really just trying to figure things out because
it is
I'm
realistic.
Here, I'm here in my mid-30s and I still have those thoughts that go through my head. Like, was I right for that? Or I don't know. Like, how do I process this? And you're still like, you still don't have it all together. So I just love, he's written very well.
Yes.
He's given very wonderful different scenarios. And I think Eddie, because he is so unfortunately typecast as the rocker boy.
Yeah.
Or his background has been so hardcore solidified. There's not really much like leeway that you can take with him outside of like, unless it's like super AU and like the roles are reversed or something like that. Like I had friends like like Eddie growing up. I tried to be the cool kid to be with like the outsiders or the people and stuff like that. Like, those I love. Like I, as a person who like identifies with Steve more because he is the opposite of what Eddie is.
Yes.
And I'm attracted to what Eddie is.
Right?
Yeah. And I feel more like I'm a Steve in that sense because I like the bad boy. I like someone that has a little more chutzpah than me, who's going to kind of break the rules because I'm happy to be like, nope, that door says closed for a reason. Like, like
I love that.
I'm not staying a night. I'm not. Yeah, like it's like I don't need a record. Like I don't. Like, the government does not need to know who I am more than I am. All right. Like, so like the appeal of Eddie like is more like why I'm such a Steve boy because I'm like I would identify with Steve more in the writing than with Eddie because I would just feel like a poser if I tried to identify with Eddie. I'm like I'm not cool like that. I don't know how to play the guitar. Like, no, like a rock concert. Like, is there seating? Like, there's no. I'm just so removed from that coolness that I'm just like, Steve sounds right because you can be popular and good looking.
I definitely I relate to that too. Like, yeah. Eddie. He would like push the boundaries kind of like
absolutely and some of the most steamiest wonderful fics are Eddie pushing the boundaries.
Oh my god, it's real good when literally you're like looking over your shoulder because you're like
girl, let me tell you, when I am on the train and I'm reading some of those scenes, I'm just like I need to place my book back here and I need to like. And I'm like checking my it's not an audiobook. Like, why am I checking the volume?
Paranoia. I love it.
I'll listen to podfics and they'll be like smut and I'll be like driving and pull up to a stoplight and I have to like pause it for a second.
Oh yeah. Like literally I always tell this story to Megan. When I was on my way to Philly last year, literally my friend Billy calls and I forgot that I had a podfic going. So usually it shuts off, but instead it was like, then Steve grabbed Eddie's rock hard cock and squeezed it and began to fondle his balls and lick his taint. And literally Billy just goes, whoa, what are you listening to? And I'm like, something fan-fucking-tastic. That's what. Like,
I hope it was like me reading that too. That would have been the best.
I know. Usually I'm like, this isn't weird at all. And I'm just like, Megan's talking about taint. Like, okay. Sure. Taint
for the record, I don't think I've ever said that word in a podfic. But
said that word now. The goal is now to get Megan to say taint.
I don't think you've listened to the Bend and Snap yet, though, have you?
No, I haven't yet. No taint?
No, but there's some fun stuff.
Ooh.
There's some fun stuff.
Bend and Snap. Well, I'm going to have to add that to my
let's
list.
write that one down.
The author and I kind of did it together as like a event thing called Pod Together. And so she like wrote it specifically because she knew I was going to have to read it and tried to make it as like dirty as possible.
Love that. Yes.
That's amazing. I remember being in sixth grade science class or something, and you're reading like through the text, and you're like popcorn reading.
Yeah.
And like and the teacher like gave me a Hershey's Kiss like in front of the class. He's like, that's because he didn't laugh when he read vagina. I'm like,
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
yeah, yeah.
I feel like that's something that probably would have happened to me also, and that's why I do what I do now.
I mean, true, man. True.
Honestly, my educators, I've had some of the best people in my life were educators. I wanted to be an educator, but I was like always a creative person. So like, I just never really felt like I could get anything structured. Then I found dance teaching and I was like, oh, I can combine both worlds. And so
Yeah, that's
that
awesome.
whole love of just like imparting knowledge, like is huge inspiration. So like, yeah, what y'all are doing, like,
Yeah, I love the meme that says kids are ruthless. They'll literally go, why so ugly? And then do a cartwheel. And you're like,
yes.
holy shit. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I admire people that like can deal with children for a while. I'm a proud childless millennial, and that's just going to be my role in life. And,
I mean, I have a child, but the lifespan isn't as long as the child. So it is what it is, man,
I live off of your posts of him because I'm like, Quinn, I love you.
Quinn is the MVP and Quinn loves you.
And Leia, like, I just love animals. When you were describing Leia, when you were talking about Leia at first, I was like, oh my gosh, that's actually a big dog. When I saw the picture, I was like, oh my, I'm expecting like this little dog. And then I saw the picture, I was like, oh no, okay, awesome. I used to have a pit bull.
She's smaller than you would think. I feel like she's probably about the same size as a pit bull.
My God. Mine's the size of a toilet wand. Like,
Pit bulls are smaller than you would think.
They can be, yeah. They get more
Yeah.
woolly and they're smaller.
Yeah.
I think if they are like have more mastiff in them, then they start to build out more. But
Yeah.
I've had pit bulls. My mom still has 2 pit bulls and a chow at the house in California. So it's just like I can't have an animal here in my apartment. You're not allowed. But also, I feel bad for pets in the city anyway. So
I can
I'm just
see
like,
it, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be paying for daycare. So I'm
No, Jesus. Yeah, no.
I know, right?
I'm gonna have to wait. So, what was the question?
Well, I wanted to actually go back to your YouTube channel. And,
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
I need to ask because YouTube confuses me,
Okay.
but how did you go about starting your channel? Like, kind of what inspired you and made you go, I want to do this?
Thank you so much for that question. Next, I'm just kidding. No, I guess like I didn't start my channel until like the pandemic because I mean I've always loved watching YouTube. I used to follow a lot of Funko Pop YouTube channels. Because like I said, Funko Pops and going to cons was like my, and of course Disney, but Disney for some reason I separated the two. But cons and like fandom and collecting Funkos was like something I was really getting into first, and so I would watch just follow a bunch of Funko Pop YouTubers and people who are going to Comic-Con and like getting the exclusives. Like Stacey, you have that Steve exclusive just out in the open, and I'm just like, you psycho, where is that
Literally,
effing box?
that's what
Like,
everybody.
what the fuck? Like, it really just drives me crazy when I see it out there
falls
on
off
TV.
my TV stand and Quinn just eats them. Like, you guys will know why I shut everything down and then headed for the border.
He's the only one I don't have. I would say that.
So goddamn expensive.
He's so goddamn expensive. But being inspired by those and like, well, I have a lot of downtime. The pandemic has started.
Yes.
I'm at home, and I had by that time I collected enough to where I felt comfortable. Oh, I can start sharing my collection. And it's just kind of my first video on YouTube is a Funko video.
Okay.
And I have the Fantastic Four. All the 4, like the original, like the when they were doing those anniversary Funkos, like the 80 years or something like that. And so it's like, oh, Marvel's first family, okay, blah blah blah, whatever. But the molds were so great looking.
Yes.
So I was like, well, I need these. So
Yeah.
so yeah, my
That
first
was a
video.
good call at the time.
Right.
So I know, because now people are going to be wanting to find those come next year, and are like, okay, great. pay more. Um, so that's kind of got me into the foray of YouTube. As far as like the success of my channel, now that's a different story. There's been a lot of back and forth, because I had moved to New York City during that time. And honestly, like, let's talk about the real about YouTube. You're only going to get what you put in.
Yeah.
Like, what you invest is what you're going to, you can be spending so much money to the point where you're just like, I'm not even like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not famous. I don't have that sponsorship or anything like that. Like, who do I think I am? And then at the end of the day, you're just like, well, I'm someone that wants to just share my passions and bring some light to the world. Because so I kind of focus just on that, just being like, when you come to my channel, I don't want you to think about your day at work. I don't want you to think about what you have to do in an hour or tomorrow, anything like that. When you come to my channel, just tune everything out and just enjoy what you may see, something you never seen before. You may see it before, but you haven't heard me talk about it. And that's the difference, because everyone has their own perspective on things. Not everyone's going to say the same thing about something. And I'm a person that, like, I have to really like hear multiple opinions before I like make a decision on anything, because I'm like, well, that was what they felt. And especially in fandom in general, there's so many heavily opinionated people.
Oh yeah.
That
Oh yeah.
and that, like, and they don't want to budge or don't want to see any from another perspective. When you come to my channel, you're not going to get a bunch of negativity. I'll give criticism where it's due. I still want to be real and honest. I mean, that's why I said it's a lifestyle and fandom realness, because you are going to get my opinion. It's not going to sound heavily negative. You're just going to get something where, like, hey, I'm excited about this. Like, let me share this with you.
Yep.
And that's generally like what my channel has become. But it's weird, right? Because it's long form. And a long form creating is different than short term. Like the short form, excuse me. And short form creating actually has boosted my channel more than anything. And I haven't really given it much thought until recently, when, I gained all these subscribers for like one video going viral, semi-viral, whatever. It's not a million views or anything, but like it jumped. Like my subscriber count doubled like within a week. And that was crazy. Like for me, it's like you get Studio Creators app, so you can see your numbers, you can see what the growth is, you can see, what is driving, people to your channel. You can see all that information. But sometimes you just kind of get like, well, let me not think about the numbers. Let me not think about a sponsorship deal or anything like that, because that's just going to drive me crazy. And it's obviously the payout is not even going to be the same as it was back in the day. 10 years ago, whatever, whatever that boat was, it was. So I need to just be doing this for my own joy, and hopefully people catch on to the joy and they want to join in on that. And that's, my biggest goal is just to make new friends, because it's hard making friends in New York City, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even ones you think you have commonalities with, there's always something that's like taking them to do something else, So my YouTube channel is my way to connect with people and, through fandom. And it's like the fastest way I can like make some really great relationships out there.
I love that. That's such a perfect answer, because I feel like when it starts feeling like work, that's when almost like you want to walk away. A lot of people ask me, why don't you do your movie blog anymore? And I said, I had a wonderful run. I had a ton of fun. I met a lot of great people. And then when I started kind of like seeing it more as a chore, I moved on, and me and Megan even said, we were like, nobody listened to our podcast, we'd still be doing it, because we love nerding out about this. We love just talking and shooting the shit. And we knew instantly after meeting each other, we wanted to do something together and see how far we could take it. And in this process, we've met amazing people like you. And, I'm the kind of person at a convention, I will make up a conversation with a stranger asking, well, what are your theories for next season and this and that? Because we all kind of love the same thing. And I think that's what makes it interesting. People agreeing to disagree. People saying like, oh, you're crazy that you love that season. This is why I feel that way. And able to have a civil conversation. And like you said, it's hard, especially in the city, to make friends and find people with common interests. So I think that your YouTube channel, it brings joy to people who love the same things, that love collecting, you know, and you just have such a bubbly, like, you know, sunshine personality that I find myself smiling after watching your videos. And after a long, hard day at work, that's something you look forward to. So I think what you're putting into this, it's absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Of course.
Thank
yeah,
you.
totally agree. And it's so hard to make those connections in real life, but also like online when you're trying to make connections. You sort of have to be kind of like you said, putting something out to get something out of it, because that was when I first started a Bookstagram account, because I was following all of these like book accounts on just a personal Instagram, and I was like kind of like making a couple friends here and there, but like it's going to be more kind of, I don't know, enticing or whatever for someone to kind of like follow you back and want to connect with you if you're also kind of sharing about something that you love, because you're putting yourself out there. So it's like, I don't think it's as easy to kind of make connections in fandom spaces if you're not also creating and like putting content out there. So you can make deeper connections that way.
I will say, like, when it comes to like the creating, like, you can literally look at my history, and like there is a clear point where it's like, there's Stranger Things all of a sudden has been incorporated into my my stuff. It's just like, it's like, oh, like, you know, I put out my first Stranger Things edit, you know, doing like that, like, Steve is such a baby girl, and to see like how much attention that got. It didn't have to be a lot, but the fact that how much it got just from that, I was like, oh, this is the most interaction I've seen of any of the stuff I put out. And it was really exciting, because I was like, oh, like there's actually people there that can match my energy.
Yes, exactly. What did I say on my birthday? Like, I did the edit with like match my freak.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
That's what it is.
And even though like numbers wise, there's just, if we can like talk about stats for a second, my Stranger Things content is not that popular on YouTube. And I just think it's because majority of my audience have known me for my Disney content.
There you go. Yep.
You know, so like they haven't really kind of warmed up to the idea that I like other things, even though my channel does not say I'm a Disney channel. It says I'm a lifestyle and fandom channel.
There you go.
And a variety channel for that. So you're going to see different things on my channel. But at the beginning, it was a bunch of Disney stuff because I had the annual pass and I was just more comfortable in that area. And as I followed a lot of those type of people, but as I got more comfortable sharing other things that I really enjoy, it's like, it's not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. And my Stranger Things video, my collection video, is kind of like blows my mind that I kind of like in front of like the whole world was like, I'm obsessed with Stranger Things, but I'm obsessed with Stranger Things because I'm obsessed with this non-canonical queer couple. Like that is like a huge, I think for me is a huge pivotal moment for any person to like kind of like say, what, this creator just literally admitted something a lot of people probably wouldn't tell even their cousin or something like that, a close relative, that they enjoy a non-canonical queer couple and is not sorry about it. Is like not apologetic about it, and just like can proudly say like, yeah, I enjoy Steve and Eddie hooking up, being a thing.
I'm telling
babies,
you, like,
having a life,
make babies,
and you know, like,
I've had to have that conversation with so many people in my life, and like, I'm not sorry about it, and I'm not like ashamed of it, but it is still kind of, even the Stranger Things part. Like I said to somebody I work with who is like, I'm getting to be closer with this year, and I was like, yeah, I really like this show Stranger Things, like probably like not a normal amount. Like it's just giant, like it is what it is. Like, so I'm going to this, I was talking about going to the convention because I'm like talking about, I'm going on this trip in October and people want to know where I'm going. And it's like, well, I'm going to a Stranger Things convention.
Hello.
It's just funny when like everybody at my work knows, she's the teacher that loves Stranger Things, you know, like, It's so funny. And I just remember when I was talking to you, Megan, just finding somebody like, that loves this ship so much, and being able to talk about it in person, like right away, I was like, we were really geeking out about Morning Berries, the author, which in many ways...
You were, because I had never read that.
Oh, I sold you on Morning Berries. She sold me on Take the Money and Run. And then, I started going, have you read the ship? And, it got weird. But I just remember...
I never read that.
Yeah. I'm like, it's just, the mermaids, they're fucking. And she's like, okay, calm down, Stacey. We just met. And literally,
I've read Mermaid.
Oh yeah, some of the mermaid shit
I've read Mermaid ship before.
I literally tell everybody that if I ever, God forbid, am hit by a bus, somebody needs to grab my phone and just smash it, because the shit that is on there. But I remember looking at Megan and going, and this is kind of like when I was like, man, I could talk about the ship in the show with her, for hours. I went, yeah, in this particular effect, I like that they're kind of going along with the kind of canon thing that Steve wears briefs, Eddie wears boxers. I go, you notice that's kind of a common theme. It's, just little sprinkles that us freaks can pick up on. And you just so polite. You're going, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's just fantastical. Oh my God. We went down a rabbit hole, just for
I can't
hours.
remember in the show, he changes underwear.
He changes
and
underwear.
I can't remember, does he change from boxers into briefs?
So Eddie, when he's escaping in the boat, let's just talk about underwear right now.
Let's do it.
As he's rowing, you see the band of it and it's briefs. And then later on, after the war zone, I'd like to think that Steve bought his boyfriend some underwear. He's wearing boxers. So,
Steve totally thought he would probably be like a boxer.
Yeah, he's like, here you go. And I'm like, Steve, come on now. You wear briefs. We all know that. Come on. So, it's just little things like that we pick up on. And I could stare at artwork of these two. I love seeing Steddie tattoos.
I mean, you do. It's literally surrounding you.
The theme of my living room, and it's just fantastic.
I absolutely wish to God my partner would let me do that. I wish to God I could just have a whole gallery wall of beautiful Steddie art.
Oh God.
And I honestly, because I love queer art in general, so and it's just nice to see two characters you really enjoy put in those situations. And just these artists themselves are so talented.
So talented.
And I used, I'm a little jack of all trades, so I used to do art in high school as well.
I love that.
Gay and nerdy and art and all that stuff and whatever. But so I just appreciate really great talent.
Yes.
And so a lot of these artists are super talented and they just some of these beautiful things. And yeah, I really just really wish I could just do a whole gallery wall with my partner would kill me. They're like, we have to have company over at some point. There's no way you're going to force these people to stare at these guys kissing.
I'm telling you, my friend one time they're looking around the living room and they go, would you ever let Joe Curie into your living room? And I go, time out. What's he doing in my living room?
We did have another question about your YouTube channel. So what are some of your plans upcoming for some exciting things on your channel?
Well, we're getting into spooky season, so I will be doing a lot of things related to that. I am not 100% sure. I'm going to Sleepy Hollow tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
So I'm not sure if they're having their 150th anniversary parade, a street fair celebration.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
So that will be exciting because I'm obsessed with Sleepy Hollow. That's kind of one of the other rabbit holes I fell down around the same time. Your page was pushed towards me in the algorithm, was really getting deep down to that, and it's another part that's taken over my life. And I maybe have one or more statues of the Headless Horseman.
Are you a fan of the Tim Burton movie?
I am, because it's a Hammer horror, love letter to Hammer horror. So, yeah, my partner wasn't familiar, because with it right away. So, that's actually the first film. I didn't show him the Disney version. I'm like, this is the one you should see.
This is a tad darker.
This one. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the town that they're talking about. That whole spooky vibes has taken over. So I will be doing more content related to my decor. I'll be doing more Stranger Things content. I'm going to take a break at the end of October, just kind of like settle things down because I've been go since I came back from my other break. That's another thing too about my YouTube channel is that the longevity is based because I prioritize my mental health.
Yes.
And
smart.
you know, like I just want to create content where I don't, like you said, make it feel like work. So because of that, I do intentionally kind of take some breaks for the long form. But when it comes to short form, you know, I'm all over Instagram already. It doesn't matter. But that's coming, and then I'm going to do. I decided that I actually am going to do season 5 review videos.
Oh, cool!
So
Ooh,
reactions
that'll be
/
so
reviews.
fun.
That'll be awesome.
So I'm going to do season 5, and I've never done that before. So I'm kind of nervous about it, but I'm really just like, you know what? I enjoy review videos too, but
there you go.
it's actually, I've never like seen anything that like, I'm really bad. Like I'll start a show and then like move on to another show.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, I still need to finish that one, you know, because there's so many things going on in my head.
Yeah. I do
like,
that all the time
like,
with other shows.
time.
Yeah, I feel like because, you know, the epicness of season 5
Yeah.
and what that brings, I think that would be really fun to kind of explore. Obviously, shout out the pod as much as possible. So excited to like keep promoting y'all, and you know,
We
just
love
like,
you.
oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with you both. You have no idea. I'm like stalking your pages every day. That is what I have planned so far.
That's awesome.
I kind of like don't. I do map out like what I'm gonna do, like long form wise, like how many episodes. Like I think I like literally, I'm a psycho. I've mapped out like every like episode that's gonna get me through the end of October.
Smart.
Because you know I do have New York Comic Con coming up.
Yep.
So
yep.
oh, that's another one. Thank you so much. I do have New York Comic Con coming up. It's unfortunately the same weekend as Epic Con, and I was so pissed because I was like, okay, if they do Epic Con the weekend before Comic Con, then I can just like go to Atlanta and then I can come back to New York and then I can have, get all my, you know,
one that would have been so
everything.
much fun.
It would have just been like, and I know that David Harbour and Molly and then Bobby, well, I can't even talk.
Millie.
Millie
yeah.
Bobby Brown, thank you. Millie Bobby Brown is going to be in New York on Thursday, but I only have tickets for Friday and Saturday.
Damn. Damn.
So I was just like, damn it, the one times. And I know why they're doing Thursday because they've made their commitments already to go to EpicCon right after.
Yeah.
And that's a nothing flight from New York to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of good fun stuff there. I'm hoping to get maybe another Power Rangers autograph. I've gotten 2 so far. I've gotten 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Collect
So
them all.
Awesome.
I'm trying. I'm like, I would just love to have like at least 5 of the original Power Rangers
Now,
signature
that makes me
autographs.
have to ask, what is your favorite piece of your Stranger Things collection? You can only pick one.
Ooh, sucks. Oh my god, why do you have to make me do this? Like, oh my gosh, there's like a revolver. No, I'm just kidding.
Punch your head.
My
She's always doing this.
no, my favorite. I'm gonna say the pop moment of Steve with the demo dog.
Oh,
is a
I
good
want
one.
that so bad.
And
You
the-
have that,
I
Stacey?
have it. It's see, it's up on
Of course
the
you
clock.
Fucking has it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
right
Out of the
fucking there. See, mine is not out of the box. I was so nervous to share that one, like to take it out of the box. My hand was shaking. I was
Yeah.
like, can't see it, but my hands were shaking, everyone. My hands literally were shaking taking it out because I was just so nervous. And back in the day, they sucked at packaging them.
Oh yeah.
Like because the plastic is like kind of loose, so they'll fall out easily.
Yeah.
So that is because that's one of the most expensive Funko Pops I've purchased. So that better make it to the top one I have just because how ancient that pop is. Like it's before 2020. Like they came out in 2017, 2018, probably with that pop. That is one of the most amazing things that I own,
he's a
because
gem.
I never thought I was going to be able to own that. And then I saw someone on Macari selling it for hella cheap.
God
that I was
bless
like, oh,
Macari. Yep.
yes, I know. Every time you like, like you prop up Macari. I'm like cracking up because I've sold stuff on Macari, and like and I have that app, and I'm constantly buying shit off of there. That it's like
I discovered it clearly late, but man, haven't looked back since.
Oh no, yeah. Oh my gosh, like if the first thing they do if they find my phone, it's just delete all the shopping apps. Just I don't care if you see any of the Steddie porn, just like
the shopping apps for one, the mermaid
eliminate
porn
those
for
shopping
me.
apps. Don't look at my buying history. Like don't see how much money I've spent on.
It should
on my
probably be like how many pictures of Joe Curie I have in my phone that everybody deletes for me.
So good.
And and part of my collecting, like when I share it, it's like people are like do get a lot of feedback, like, wow, that must have been a pretty penny, or you spent this, and like you could have done this with this and this. I'm like, I know.
You're like, don't worry, I know.
No.
Yep.
I know I could be doing so many other things, and then I know I can, spend my time doing other productive, quote unquote, things with my money, but at the same time, it's like, this is my year of bliss. I'm going to live in my bliss.
I love that.
Yeah.
And, I'll worry about that. I'm only 35. Like, like Lord willing, I still have more time to get to the adulting part,
Amen.
where
we're
like
babies. Okay.
What is adulting?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm going to be in the nursing home being like, I'm a baby. Like, come on.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I would love to see you in the nursing home doing that meme. But I'm a baby.
But I'm a baby.
And like, no, Stace, you're a man.
You're not. You're really not, Stace. I'm like, yes, I am.
And that's actually one of the like I had a job where I was in caregiving in my early 20s. So I actually did deal with a lot of like end of life care at an earlier age, I would say.
Yeah.
And that really puts things into perspective for you.
Amen.
I also had a health scare where I almost, was unalived. I was hospitalized for like 3 weeks, but those things when you realize your mortality, like life is so short. It's just like, I don't care.
You might as well
I'm just
do what
do
makes
me.
you happy. Yeah.
And a part of that is, reading Steddie stories on my way to work on the train.
absolutely.
Amen.
I just couldn't be happier with how things are going. And obviously this is also a testament to like how great life is, like to be able to have this conversation with y'all,
I was looking forward to it all day. I was like, got one tonight. I was like, this is fantastic. Like what a perfect way to end the work week. I was like, this is just the boost of serotonin I think we all needed,
Oh, it's been really like on my mind all week. I was like, oh my gosh, it's coming, it's happening. Yes.
Oh, it's been a pleasure talking with you because it's so great to meet positive people that are just so real in this fandom. You have been nothing but supportive. We absolutely love what you crank out. And like I said, like you're one of the real ones because you're just like, so what's going on with that Steddie fic? Let's talk about that. And I'm like, yeah, amen.
I wait towards the end of every show that I'm just like, okay, this is a Steddie segment.
Yep.
And like
He's going to talk about sex.
I have like a pen. I have a pen and paper already, and I'm just like, and then if I don't catch it, I'm like, I know these people. Let me actually go ask them.
We're always around to spread
and it's crazy, and it's so crazy to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually know these people. Let me just go message them.
Pro tip there: get the pen and pencil out, or the pen and paper out, guys, because we're terrible at sharing the.
We're pieces of shit.
Sometimes we don't even say the titles.
Yeah, I'll just be like, they're doing it like two raccoons, and then they'll be it. Okay.
And I've so many times told people like, oh yeah, we're going to start sharing it. I'll post it on Twitter. Like it never happens.
No, and it's totally fine because like, that's okay. That's what I love. The appeal of your podcast is that you both are so genuinely yourself. And that's what I want to hear. There's another podcast I follow and they're called Ghouls Night In, and they're a spooky chat show. So they talk about stuff. But the thing I love about their personalities, your personalities, is how much of yourselves that you are. And it's just like, that's what I want to listen to. Like, I don't want to listen to something that's like so super edited, super choppy, where it's just like, it's like, oh, okay, well, that was okay. I guess that was fun. But just like, I love the silliness, love the laughing. Like when you don't do something, you don't follow up on something. Well, guess what? That's real life, people. Okay.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. I
No.
feel like you want to like watch YouTube channels or listen to podcasts with people that you feel like, you're having a conversation with friends, and like you said, that's real life.
And every time listening to your stuff is exactly that. It's too hard. I know.
Thank you.
I know Megan does her best to try to keep things like in going like in a line.
She's trying to hold me together.
And you need that person. I mean, you need that person to be like, hey, by the way, we're talking about Mars. We should have been talking about Venus.
Yeah.
But,
and and then the dumpster cat, and she's like, let's keep it together, Stace.
Yeah, you need that, and I think you both bring a great balance to that. And I'm so obsessed. I'm so obsessed.
We love you.
Thank you.
You're the best.
Well, we had so much fun.
So much fun.
Thank you for joining us. This was a blast. So thank you so, so much once again.
Where can we find you, Juan?
Oh, yeah. Remind us.
You can follow me on Instagram at Insta Up With The Sun. Oh, there's an underscore there. Insta _ Up With The Sun. And then you can find me on YouTube at YT _ Up With The Sun. Please come along and subscribe. Enjoy all the fun. We have Stranger Things, and we also have other fandoms that you might enjoy as well. So let's be friends. Let's do it.
Yeah, go follow him.
Yeah.
He's great. And we will talk to you soon. Over and out.
Over and out.
Over and out.